All right, so the importance of scripting. This is something that, like I said, like we started. Sam was probably the first one that we started doing it consecutively, and really made that purposeful switch in my business, and it's really changed my business for on so many different levels. And just getting into that habit, I think, is the hardest part of doing it. But once you're doing it, is working through different areas of your business to really not necessarily perfect, but just prepare for better ways to handle objections or handle situations that would come up. Sam, can you agree with that? Like, why is scripting important to you, and what has it changed for you in your business?
Absolutely. I mean, regardless of the market, you kind of know when you're scripting, you're getting live feedback from the prospect of what their motivation is, what's going to move them forward. And it's not really about the result of having to sell each client. It's about knowing where to move them forward. What stage are they on? Are we expecting the motivation to figure out where they are? What plan are we making to get them forward, move forward? And essentially, when we're using a script, we're making an offering, and we'll talk about that later. We're making an offering that's matching the market. And by making these offerings, it's allowing us to figure out where is the client, what would cause them to make a buying decision or selling decision, and how to get, how to be more effective on the phone to be able to really have purposeful conversations. It's really changed my world, my business. I'm very systemized. It's allowed me to really go through real estate with a lot more purpose, and it gets you off the roller coaster. You can kind of help understand how you can build your pipeline, how you can use what you already have as far as database and moving people forward without spending a ton of money on marketing as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Sam. And when what you said there too is it really brought me back to really practicing in your practice time, which is script time, but also not practicing when you're in front of that client, right? So you're not taking that first step of really practicing or doing your listing presentation. You would never go to someone's house and say, oh, this is my first time actually doing it, and then fall on your face and then try to correct yourself. You're going to want to actually run through what you're going to say, what you're going to do, and the value you bring before you get out there and start doing that in front of potential sellers, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It helps you understand how to communicate what are you offering, and building trust a lot quicker, because now you can listen to the client without thinking about what you're going to say. You can be present in that conversation. Then they feel when you're listening to them, and building trust, which is allowing you to make the decision, and moving them forward in the process for sure.
Absolutely. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to jump into it. And guys, this is open for any questions or comments. Just pop something in the chat. We will do a live aspect where we'll answer any questions or answer any objections, really. We can script through those at the end of the call as well. Just going to do a brief breakdown on handling objections and how the best way to do it is. And then anything, just throw in the questions or the chat, and we can get to it in a bit here. So what we're going to run up against typically in the marketplace right now is we're going to run up against the four types of objections, right? It's either going to be commission. Do they know or like or trust you? The lack of value or lack of need, and the lack of urgency. And really, at the end of the day, Sam, we really don't even want to talk to the last two here as well, right? If they don't need us, then is it really open to our time? Or if they're not motivated to do it, is it really worth our time to be even talking to them, right? So that goes back to your pre-qualification and really asking the right questions there. But is there anything else on top of that, Sam, that you want to throw in? Like, outside of lack of trust and commission, what are you seeing out in the marketplace that you're dealing with for objections?
Well, when you mentioned that too, it reminded me of when we look at the criteria of a lead, and Tim Howell talks about this, is external motivation. There's a reason other than money that would do for them to get to where they would need to go. We have their contact information. We have a timeline, and they're able and willing to do something. We are seeing a lot of variations of this. So maybe someone needs to find a home in order to move. What does that look like? Being able to uncover those really well and make sure we isolate them so we can solve a problem for that client, or at least present an option for them so we can figure out a plan to follow up, and digging deeper a little bit. So for example, if a client right now doesn't have a home to move to, we'll talk about that. What are some things you can do? That could be around maybe lack of trust in the market, for example, lack of trust in the process. Homes are selling really quick. Where do I go? That could be around that. And then being able to get in front of them, say enough on the appointment to get in front of them, will help with that value part. So then they would be willing to pay 5 or 6% of the value of their home to list with you. So Urgency, I think that comes out through inspecting their motivation, and people who will talk through their motivation with you are usually motivated and they do take action. And it's our role to kind of find out who are those people and how can we find them quicker and ask really great questions.
Yeah, for sure. And one that came to mind while you were talking there, Sam, is really a lack of knowledge too, right? A lot of people, you don't know what you don't know, and they may have an objection to something that may not even be a problem, and they just haven't had a chance to actually ask the right person, right? And you have had the opportunity to actually explain it in the right way, to make sense and really take care of any of that objection aspect, right?
Yeah,
So
it's really
that's
demystifying the whole process, like not being this mystical thing where you have to pull out a huge book and figure out how you're going to say things or what you're going to say. It's having a way to make offerings to people that make sense and to move people forward for sure.
yeah, awesome. Okay, so understanding the why, and this is massive, right? And you got to understand the why on a couple different levels, right? Why is that person looking to make a move? Why are they looking to buy or sell? That's number one. What's it going to do for them? But what is the value that you add as well? Why are you in business, right? And I think nailing down the objection handling is, if you really get into that why and that motivation, and you have a clear understanding of how that is going to affect their life, you truly can actually move them along the process of the sale or of the buy, and have create urgency when needed, right? Sam, can you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Asking those questions, it not only builds rapport, it shows them that you care about them and you're solving their problem. And that's the reason that they will make that move, not because you sold 150 homes, not because of anything. It's because of how good you can build rapport, how you can dig into their why, what's important to them. And like logic makes them think and emotion is going to make them act, right? They're going to act based on what's driving them emotionally. And if they feel they can trust you, they're going to likely move forward. We can talk later as well about questions about uncovering motivation. Jerry, when you mentioned that, I think about the question triangle,
Mhm.
where we talk about why in a positive form, and using those questions, the what, the
How?
how,
Yeah.
the what, and the who, as far as how powerful some of those questions can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
So what would be important about making this move, and then digging deep into that. And we can go through that later on as well if
Yeah.
needed. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Well, to go on that, right, is how is that going to affect you? So Sam, let's run through that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jerry, let's say I call you, and the cool thing is it doesn't really matter whether it's a follow-up or a new lead or whatever. If we're going into these questions, they're fairly similar. We can use them everywhere. So if I call and say, "Hey Jerry, last time we spoke there, you mentioned you were selling your house this year. Is that still the case?"
Yeah, yeah, we're thinking about it still. We haven't done too much.
Okay, I can totally appreciate that. I know moving's a big process, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
daunting.
And help me understand, making this move, what will that accomplish for you and your family?
Well, it's just a matter of getting into a bigger home, right? We're a little tight where we're at, but I know it's just we want to do some stuff to get it ready and all that stuff as well, right? So
Okay, so moving into a bigger home, I gather what you're saying here. Getting some things ready. How will that improve your current way of life, getting into a bigger space?
oh well, it's I think it'll make everyone happier, less stress, right? We're kind of walking over each other now, more room for organization, right? It's just room to grow into.
Okay, so what I gather is you're saying less stress, more organization, and ultimately, how will that make you feel being able to accomplish that for you and your family?
That's gonna, I think it'd make us feel pretty good, right? Like we're doing okay where we're at, but it's just that it's not going to get any better as the kids get older.
Yeah, I can totally appreciate that, Jerry. And what would have to happen for you to go ahead and sell your home and make that move to that bigger space that you want?
Well, we would probably want to just touch up some paint and maybe touch up some trim and some carpet or whatnot on the house here. And then we just really have to get looking for that bigger home. We haven't really taken any action on that as well.
Okay, so I appreciate that what you're saying there. So you'd like to look for that bigger home, get the home ready, and make sure you have something as well to move to. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, that would definitely help us.
Okay. And Jerry, if you were to say 10 is you're really motivated to get that bigger space that your family deserves, and you really want to make this move, and one is you don't really care what happens in the process, where would you be?
I'd probably say that we're a 7 right now. Yeah, I'd say we're there.
Okay. And what would have to happen, Jerry, to make that a 10 for you?
Yeah, and make it a 10. Like if we had found that house and we have that home under contract, that would definitely make us a 10 to get us moving on the sale process. even just a strategy, right? If we move forward with a strategy to kind of find that place and have this ready to go, that would help.
Okay, Jerry. So what I gather, what I hear you saying is you'd like to make sure you have a strategy so you can move to that house and also get as much money for your current home and do the right upgrades. Is that right?
Yeah, that would definitely help.
So Jerry, if there was a way that we can help you net 40 to 50,000 more for the sale of your home, know exactly what upgrades are going to maximize your profit of the house while finding you a home and putting you in the driver's seat to make sure that you're ready to buy that right home and save money in that process, would that be of interest to you?
Yeah, I think it might be. It would definitely help for sure. Like, can you give me a call back next week and I can talk to my wife here and we could schedule something then?
Yeah, Jerry, I can totally appreciate that, and I'll definitely appreciate the opportunity to call you back. Let me ask you a question. I mean, if you called your wife and let her know that you made an appointment to potentially save you guys thousands of dollars, you really think she'd have an issue with it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. And would it make sense that we at least get that information so that way we know exactly what's going to put money in your pocket and how to buy that bigger home if it does come up to save you money? Would that be great?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay. So what works best? I have tomorrow at 4. Or would 5 be better?
Let's do 4 o'clock. That'll work great. Awesome. So did everyone see? Are you still there, Sam?
Okay, great, Jerry.
So it's been choppy here.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, did everyone see how you moved through that aspect, right? The questions were how would it affect you? What has to happen, right? You move through that layering of questioning to really make it work and make it flow, right, in that direction towards the appointment as well.
Acknowledge what they're saying. Some other questions could be is how would that impact you financially? To do X, Y, Z that you mentioned, how would that make you feel? And then essentially making an offering to solve a problem. So if Jerry, if we could help you find a home that you could live in and you live for 6 to 12 months, control the process, have the terms that you want and move when you want and get more money, would that be of interest to you? So we're really just making an offering that's making sense for the client in the market that we're in, because scripts change. The method though doesn't.
Yeah. Oh, they'll always change, and we've changed the way we're saying things over the period of 2 to 3 years because the market's changed at the end of the day as well, right? And the problem has changed too, because the majority of the problems that clients are having right now is finding that home and securing that home before they sell as well, right? So it's having other avenues to really solve that problem of what they're experiencing in today's market as well. Can you hear me okay, Sam?
Absolutely. And I'd like to add to that, this is not a one-time thing where you do a script, just like a salad. You don't get in amazing shape right away. It takes time and practice and knowing the right tools and practice them over and over again, which I think would really help anybody on this call.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So we will go over the formula here closer to the end of the call because our next slide is literally going to go into handling it and breaking down that structure after this one. Sorry. So some of the popular ones that we are seeing out there right now is I'm just looking, I'm not ready yet. I'll call you when I find something. The market is too crazy right now. And these are a couple just overall generalized handlers of it as well. What you'll sign when Sam and I get into actually scripting through some of these later in this webinar, you'll find that we'll isolate it. We'll find that issue. Is that the only thing? Well, if this wasn't an issue, is there anything else holding you back from getting into business together today? Right. So we'll send this out to everyone as well so they can see these as well. And let's go to
that one extra question, digging that one extra question deeper could make a huge difference. I would also like to add that those are definitely good brush offs. If someone gives you a brush off, we can go through that. I'm just looking. Well, if you were looking, what would you be looking for?
Yeah.
I'm not ready yet. Well, if you're ready, what would you be looking for?
Yeah. Yeah, well, exactly, right. I'm going to move out in a pine box. Well, if you were going to be carried out in a pine box, when would that be? And where would you go? Yeah. So let's run through. So handling objection, Sam, when we get the objection, okay, what you want to do is demonstrate your unique value, your authority. You want to isolate it, identify it, and address the objection, right? And then take the extra time to describe the existing opportunity. let's run through something like commission and see how this aspect will run through it. And not necessarily budget, but let's just go into, let's just say our commission and it's too much. And then you can run through the aspect of isolating it, adjusting it, and then going back for the close as well.
Sure. And over the phone, it's different than in person. So if you're doing something over the phone, you're saying enough to get the appointment. So
Yeah.
you're using a lot of the, if I could do this, would you do that?
Yeah.
It's sort of like a trial close. You could call it an offering. It's sort of like a marketing. It's an offering that you're making.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could go through that. Usually acknowledge, isolating it, asking that question, and then closing. Go through.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you want to do this in person or over the phone? I would say
We could do it. We could do both if you'd like. We could do in person right or over the phone right now. Whatever works. So, Jerry, when would you like to meet to discuss selling your home? I have tomorrow at 3, or is 4 better?
Yeah, Sam, everything sounds good. I really, we just need to take some time to think about it, and we'll call you back.
Yeah, Jerry, I completely appreciate that you need some time. Selling your house is a big process, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah. And what specifically do you need to think about, Jerry?
Well, I'm not sure what you charge for commission yet, and typically commission is a lot of money at this point. So we just want to make sure that we make the right decision when we do meet with that agent.
Sure. And I know the commission is important. Obviously, you want to net the most money possible is what I'm hearing you say. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, it is.
Okay. And other than maybe commission or that concern, is there anything else that's holding you back from meeting with us and discussing this process?
No, not at this point.
Okay. So Jerry, if there was a way that we could help you net more money even after a success fee is paid, and make sure that we can move on your terms, would that be of interest to you?
Yeah, how would you do that?
That's exactly the reason we should meet. We can go through that, and commission's flexible and you get to choose. That's the first thing we talk about when we meet. I have tomorrow at 4. Would 5 be better?
Nice. Okay, yeah, let's do 5.
Okay. So I didn't give them too much info. Flexible and you get to choose. We talk about that. Again, it allows them to feel like they're in the driver's seat. Clients want to look good and be right, I think. So if we can make them feel that way, then we're winning, I think.
So Sam, are you giving any commission numbers over the phone?
Never have. Never had. I had client years and years ago. Remember, well, I have an agent doing it for 3%. What are you going to do? Tell me right now. Really, stern, I believe, European woman. And she goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Listen, commission's flexible. You get to choose. What I hear you saying is you want to net the most money possible, don't you?" She's like, "Yeah, that's exactly the reason we should meet." So now, what works best? If I could show you how we can net you more after success fees paid, wouldn't that be of interest to you? Yeah, it would be. Now, if it's a hot market, the really easy way to handle that is now you have a handler you can add to that. So let's say, well, it's a hot market. I'll just get an offer anyway. Well, if I could help you get just that one extra offer with working with the right agent and net you more even after the success fees paid, even in a great market, would you at least want to know about that?
Yeah.
So that's how I would handle that.
Yeah. Pique the interest, right?
Yeah. Pique the interest. Give them enough to hit the appointment.
Okay. So we really did just go through all that. Who was it that asked that question? Diana. Did that answer your question a bit and isolating it and really that process moving forward for it?
So yeah, acknowledging. So because if we just go back to them,
awesome.
So the way not to handle it would be, so let's say, Jared, if you said, something, and I said, well, why don't you want to meet with me? So there's 2 issues with that. I didn't acknowledge the client. I didn't make them feel valued, validated, and listened to. So that's an issue. Now they're on the defense a little bit. There's a little more resistance and less rapport. And then the other issue with that is why, growing up, we heard a lot of, why didn't you clean your room? Why didn't you do this, that, and the other? So by acknowledging it and then just kind of, hearing it back to them, repeating it back, it helps you understand that we're listening to the client and then we can handle it after.
Yeah, exactly. And this really does bring me back to is watching their body language too, because some people may not actually come out with an objection, but they have one as well, and it's hidden, and it may come out in subtle language that they use. But by you actually knowing where to go with it and responding to that, it proves that you're truly, it shows that you're truly listening as well, right? For instance, we had a buyer's rep meeting about 2 weeks ago, and she was a little stressed about signing that buyer's representation agreement for an agent on the team, and that wasn't followed up on, and that led to that falling through in that sense, right? But if we were to say, hey, you know, well, what about this situation is stressing you right now? We can pull out that true aspect of what is causing that stress. Is it something that we can fix right now, and does it make sense to move forward, right? If it's something we can't fix, there's no sense in moving forward with it.
Exactly.
Right?
I love that. Acknowledge, isolate, overcome, and then you can use those if questions to get the appointment, say enough to get the appointment and make an offering for sure.
Exactly. Nice. Okay. All right. 20 questions. So LPT Mama, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of this. This is a great one for online leads, and it is literally a script that a lot of ISAs and a lot of agents will use. And it's location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, and appointment. Oh, timeline. Yeah, okay. Timeline is missing on the slide here. So basically, and this is just running through it as you have a lead, say a buyer lead comes in, or say a realtor.ca lead. Sam, do you want to run through one of these? We can.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that'd be great. So these are great. You can use these on sellers, for example. Usually use them on online leads. We start the call with. We don't start the call with close any questions. So can I help you? Click. Or, you know, do you need anything? No, click. We started with open-ended questions, which I'll show you. And then these questions are allowing us to uncover where they're at in the process, how we can move them forward, be more effective. And then if we need to put them in a stage, for example, we have a qualifying stage, we'll move them in that stage. If they're not ready, we'll send them to a broker. We have pre-written email templates, send them to a mortgage broker, so then we can follow up in a certain time. So we're making a plan and being really purposeful with it. So for sure, I can do that.
And then starting this off right too, it's just paving the way to a way smoother transaction on either side, right? Whether it's a buy or sell, because you're not going to have any of the constraints because you've brought them out here as well.
Absolutely. So Jerry, I'll give you a call. We can go through it.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello. Is this Jerry?
Yeah, it is. Who's this?
Hello, Jerry. It's Sam here with Affluence Real Estate Group, Keller Williams. We saw you looking on Realtor.ca at a property for sale. What are you looking for?
Yeah. We're just browsing around right now.
Okay, awesome. And if you were just browsing, what areas are important to you?
Well, we're kind of looking around in Kitchener, Waterloo area, but nothing really popping out for us at the moment.
That's awesome. What about Kitchener or Waterloo is important to you?
We really want to stay in the area. All right, we don't want to be moving out of the area at this point. So.
Okay, so stay in the area. That's amazing. And ultimately, what would staying in that area do for you and your family?
Well, it'd just be close to family too, for help with the kids and whatnot as we get older, and just better commutes to work right now.
Okay, so better commutes to work, and being closer to the family. And how would that what would that bring to your life to be able to be closer to the family and less of commute to work?
Well, it'd just be easier, I think, for everyone, right? If we had some help too with the kids when everyone does go back to work as well, that would definitely help.
Okay. Now, Jerry, if you found an ideal place in KW and it made sense, it checked all the boxes, when would you like to be there by?
Well, we're kind of up in the air on that. Like, we'd like to be in something by the summertime, but before September would be ideal.
Okay. And Jerry, if you were to say, 10 is it's really important that you make this move and buy something and get in by the summer, be closer to family. 1 is it's not important at all. Where would you be right now?
Yeah, we're like I'd say a 7 or 8.
Okay. What would have to happen to make that a 10 for you, Jerry?
I think just finding something within our budget and really just getting a pre-approval done again as well. It's been a while since we did that last as well. So.
Okay. Awesome. When we say budget, what price monthly payment are you comfortable with, and what is the price range you're looking at?
We're hoping to be. I think last time we were pre-approved for 6 to 650. I think with some small changes, we should be able to get 650 to 7 or so right now.
Okay, 657. Great. That's a great range. And what were you hoping to sell your home for?
Well, our current home should be worth about 550 right now.
Okay. And do you have to sell your current home in order to buy a new one?
Yeah, we definitely would.
Okay. Now, when you've been looking, how are you kind of looking at homes? Have you made any offers on any properties right now?
It's honestly been looking at Realtor.ca. We've called a few listing agents just to get through the home, and that's about it right now.
Okay, awesome. So if the perfect home kind of showed up today, it was on for sale, it was in that price range, it made sense. Would you be able to make an offer on it and move forward in the next 30 days, or would there be anything holding you back from that?
No, I don't foresee anything holding us back. Like I said, we just want to really reconfirm with our mortgage broker for that aspect, just to make sure that we're good to go, and then go from there.
Okay, great. So Jerry, what I gather you're saying here is you want to make sure you can upsize to, a better, or get to a better area closer to family, commute in KW. So if we were able to show you a way that we can help you save money in the process of buying a home and potentially net you 40 to $50,000 more, and help you find homes even before they come up on market that are just perfect for you, would that be something you'd want to learn more about?
Yeah, that would definitely help, I think.
Okay. Wouldn't it make sense that we set an appointment? I actually have some time tomorrow in the afternoon, or would the evening be better?
I think the evening would work best for us at this point.
Okay. So LPT Mama, timeline. So if you found a new home, would you like to be there by? If you found the perfect home tomorrow, would you be prepared to make an offer or decision? What would be holding you back? Price range. You could say, I have other properties as well. What price range are you looking at in case something comes up? If it's a sign call and you don't have their information, or they're just calling, you don't have their information, you just say, just in case we get disconnected, what's the best number to reach you at?
Yeah.
Anything you want to add, Jerry?
No, man, like that's pretty straightforward, right? It's a great line of questioning to just to move people along and get that critical information as you go, right? But I always I look at this one too as that straight line method, as well as your questioning will move them down that line. If it's from contact to appointment or contact to sale, you move them down that line towards that appointment, but also you can take it and build rapport up and down along that line as you go. But us as professionals, that's where we have to be able to question and move that back to that line to move them down that towards that appointment, right? And this is what this script does. It's great for that.
Yeah, and you don't have to use it in the same order. So you don't have to say, okay, what location do you need? And then go through everything. You can pick things from each one, and you can, start a motivation. That was building a little rapport, go to location, kind of go from there.
Yeah. And this is one of the scripts that we have included with for everyone as well. I think they'll have a copy in the email so they can go over it as well. All right, so tips to a successful call. So know and believe your value, be prepared, actively listen, be knowledgeable, and follow up. So knowing your value is critical, right? There's so many, especially if you're a newer real estate agent, it's difficult if you haven't actually dug deep within yourself and know the value that you can provide, right? In the absence of value, you're going to be cutting commission, or you're going to be losing money in that sense. So what do you guys provide as a service to your clients, and what are you going to say to someone as to provide that, right? So being prepared, that goes just honestly, that's looking at your stats, I think. Sam, like what else? Well, I guess if you're being prepared in regards for the person you're calling, is knowing the niche that you're calling. So if you are calling buyer leads, what did they look at, right? Can you see what they were looking at? What home did they come in on? Is there any other homes that are active on the market that are the same as what they came in on as well? And then Sam, can you still hear me?
Yeah, great point, Sherry. I'd say, knowing your values, because the delivery and in what you bring, 6% is words, and the delivery, the belief and the energy behind that script or whatever you're saying is important. Knowing, being prepared, having call lists, knowing who you're going to call, what stages you're going to call that day, what task, what follow-up, what theme do you have? If we have a theme on follow-up on Tuesday or new leads on Tuesday, that we're going to do that. And just making sure that if we check our MLS or our stats, we can know with the seller, hey, Mr. Seller, more homes are actually listed right now and in the last 3 or 4 days than sold. So would it make sense that you at least move forward so that way you don't miss out and potentially get less money? So it allows us to really know what we're talking about when we're on the phone. Absolutely. And adding value to our clients as well.
Yeah, for sure. To actively listen, Sam, is there anything you do to actively listen and really build that subconscious rapport with people over the phone?
I would say just repeating and approving. If you do seem that they're, I feel this, or I see this, I'm looking for this, you kind of know what kind of person they are. I think it's either kinesthetic, the more feel person. Are they talking about more visual things? We see this and we're looking for this, or etc. So actively listening, just making sure we're repeating back what they're saying and really how we can help them move through and ultimately help them self-discover, right? If we tell them what they need to do, they'll be more likely to take action if they self-discover and kind of come with you along that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is powerful. Awesome. So does anyone, what objections or what scripts do you want us to run through? We left some time free on this so we can handle or answer any questions, or even just script with someone that's on the call too, if they want to unmute and go that route. And Sam and I can even practice a couple too right now. Like, Sam, do you want to run a for sale by owner script as well?
Yeah, sure. We could do that.
Yeah, one sec here. I know.
And just I will add as well, like in this market, we have a lot of agents that their value is cutting commission right now. A lot of them with listings being low. And so we've talked to for sale banners that they've listed at 5, 6, or even anybody listing at 5, 6%. And these agents are offering 1% on their side. And so I think it's a myth. You know, if you know your value and you're able to communicate it, they will be willing to pay full market value for what you're worth. So definitely,
absolutely,
regardless of the market.
Yeah. So I know before we jump into that, Diana, I know you had your hand up there. Did you want to bring one forward? If you just raise your hand again, I will allow you to talk, and we can go from there. Perfect. Okay. You should be able to talk.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I have a question. For example, once you have assigned an exclusive listing, the homeowner would like to prepare the house himself for the market versus allowing me to do it. And my contractors, how do I get them to see the value of going through my contractors?
Okay. So am I getting the question as you have an exclusive listing, they're preparing for the market and they want to take it on most of the work by themselves, and you want to allow them to see the value in using professionals and moving a little bit quicker. Is that right? Diana?
Correct.
Okay, awesome. I think, and that really comes down to, Sam, if you got something, just jump into, that really comes down to is showing your value, showing the system that you have as well, right? So when if I was in that situation, like we have a proven system that when we use this system, we get repeatable and we get proven results at the end of the day, right? So we have our stager come in, we have any improvements that need to happen, we'll help organize them with people that we know and like and trust, right? People, contractors or any vendor that we like and trust that we have used in the past. So I would say your best bet is to show the value. And the other aspect is show the pain by waiting. Because if I don't know what market you're in right now, but I know in our market right now that our inventory is climbing and we're seeing those multiple offers not die, but they're coming down in the number of offers and your prices aren't going nearly as high. That January, February rush is dying down. We've got about 8 listings in the pipeline right now that we're stepping 2 of them up this week as well, just to kind of capitalize on the market still before we get more and more inventory coming on as we move into March. So you could go both ways with it, right? Sam, what would you say?
I think there's a couple ways you could handle it. You could acknowledge. So Diana, I completely appreciate that you have a contractor you'd like to use. What's important about working with that contractor, Diana?
I would like the client to go ahead and move forward and have it available for viewings. And he's not really able to do the work himself.
Okay. So Diana, what I gather you saying is you'd like to make sure that the home is ready, it shows well, you get as much money possible, and it's ready for viewings in a timely manner. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you think that if we had a proven system and we had a contractor to make sure that this is done in a timely manner, if inventory is rising, do you think that would help you or hinder you in the sale process?
Yeah, absolutely.
It would help you.
That's
right?
what I'm going to use. Yeah.
And Diana, let me ask you a question. Here's one thing you could use. You could say, your home, it's your most valuable asset. Don't you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And what's more important, Diana, you getting the most money for your home to move closer to family and do what's right for you, or feeling obligated to work with a contractor that you may know from previously?
Yeah, just go ahead and, getting it sold. I have to move.
Okay. So when can we get that contractor out? I could do tomorrow or the next day.
Yeah, definitely tomorrow. That's great. Thank you so much. I'll use that.
You're welcome. So I said you could use it for anything. What's more important, X or this? So motivation, your motivation, or just doing this? What's more important, hiring your friend or netting the most amount of money? What's more important, waiting in the market, things to get better, or you getting the most money for your home? So you could use that for a lot of things. Really good.
Perfect.
Yeah,
That's
that's a
how-
great one, Sam. Good answer. Sharon had a question regarding, so putting in conditions or going in at list price in today's market.
Okay, that's a good one, Jerry. I could start there, and you can add in as well.
Yep.
So here's the thing. You know, we just got a buyer yesterday who's really really good buyer. And the reason we got that buyer is because we didn't tell them they have to go in firm. What we did though is we said, as your consultant, there's pros and cons, and we're going to recommend. You know, one really good one about conditions is, you know, for example, just so you know, for a seller, a home inspection condition could add $30,000 to the offer. So if you're a buyer, if let's say we uncover a few small things and that costs $4,000 or $5,000, right?
Yeah.
Would you rather pay $30,000 potentially get your offer accepted, or would you rather look at maybe doing our due diligence ahead of time, maybe doing a pre-walkthrough inspection, sending that off to our mortgage broker, getting that all done, and then making sure that we can put the best offer forward? Because at the end of the day, Sharon, what I want to do is not one hand tied behind my back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And a lot of that too goes back to the expectations conversation as well too, right? So are you scripting the expectations of what's happening in the marketplace today so they know exactly how to move forward, and there's no surprises that come down the pipe as well. So do you want to script that so Sharon would be a little more apt to handle it? Like you and I will actually run through it.
Yeah, sure. So this is a buyer putting in conditions or going in at list. Okay, so I'm assuming it's a buyer going in at list price.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, let's talk about both. I'd love to handle those. I think these are really relevant.
Yeah.
To the market.
All right, Sam. Yeah, you know, Sam, like I really want to go in at list price here. It's, you know, I love the home, but I don't want to pay over asking, and we really need to have a condition of inspection on it.
Okay, I completely appreciate where you're coming from, Jerry. And other than other than that, is there anything else that's holding you back? You mentioned a home inspection, right?
Yeah, well, we want to make sure that we're not making any mistakes, right? We don't want to buy something that needs a lot of work in the future.
Okay, great. So what I gather you're saying is you want to buy a home that's structurally sound. You know, you're not overpaying for the property as well. Is that fair to say?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So if we could find a way to make sure that you know you're buying a good, solid home, and we have a competitive offer in this market, would that be of interest to you?
Yeah. I think like we got one here, right? We want to offer on this one, but we want to have the condition in it.
Yeah. So here's what we can do, Jerry. It's completely your choice, and I will let you know a couple things. Some of our clients have decided to remove the condition for a couple reasons. We can do a pre-walkthrough inspection, which will allow us to take that condition out. You as a buyer, we can make full confidence in that offer. And what it also allows us to do is, Jerry, have you ever, when you put an offer in, right? If you're a seller, you ever heard that term that one in the hand is better than three in the tree?
Yeah. I have.
So if you're a seller, you're going to want something that's guaranteed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we definitely want something that, yeah, we would for sure.
You're a seller. So if you put a home inspection in there, actually what we're finding, Jerry, is our clients have to put $30,000 or $40,000 more to have that home inspection condition in. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yeah.
So
like we have to offer more money just to have it in there. Like you don't think they would
just to have it in there. So what we can do is if you make an offer that's, you know, that does have that condition, that home inspection done ahead of time, that could potentially save you $30,000 to $40,000. And at the same time, Jerry, what we can do is, let's say a few things came up on the home, a few items that needed to be fixed. Do you think that would cost relatively minor, maybe $3,000, $4,000?
Yeah, it's true. Like we've been through it. It didn't like seem like there was going to be too much wrong with it.
Yeah, and although I'm not a home inspector, this is the reason that depending on your risk tolerance, we can get a home inspector to go in, do a quick walkthrough, give us the go ahead, and that way you can make an offer with confidence. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, that would help. Yeah, okay. We're good with that, not going with the home inspection, but we definitely don't want to go over asking.
Okay. And Jerry, I completely appreciate that, and I'm here to help you as your consultant. And you know, you mentioned to me that you want to get a bigger space for your family. Is that still the case?
Yeah, that's definitely still the case.
So let's say, you know, as we have more people buying in that price range, do you think with demand increasing, do you think the prices are going up or do you think they're going down?
Well, definitely prices are going up. Like we've seen that in the last couple places that we've seen.
Yeah. And what would it look like, Jerry, if let's say in 3 or 4 months from now that we keep missing out on properties, and we know that the best property in our range right now today will be now the best property right now will be at the bottom now. So we're going to have to go for that lowest option, and that'll be at the top of our price range. Would that be a good thing, Jerry?
No, I guess the lowest option would be on top of our price range.
Yeah. So the home that probably is, let's say, the lowest option right now, a home that you probably wouldn't consider, right? There's 3 homes available, one that you probably wouldn't consider at all.
Yeah.
Not even a really great home. Let's say in 2 or 3 months that we stay in this position, not making offers that are competitive to the market. What happens if that's now the best that we can get? How do you think you'd feel with your family and being able to get that space that you wanted?
Yeah, that would definitely suck if we missed out on everything because we didn't put in offers that were acceptable, I guess.
Yeah. And what we do know, Jerry, is if you're familiar with eBay, for example, they would put the price at a lower price point to attract interest. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
So what we do know is already there's a bit of element that the property's priced a little bit under market value.
Okay.
And if let's say in 3 or 4 years from now, and you paid a little bit more for this property, which $10,000 for a seller is money for a seller. For a mortgage, it's about $42 a month. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So if in 3 or 4 years from now, I told you that someone came up to you and you said, you spent about $42 a month more, 10,000 more on that price, you would probably look like a genius because of over time how you made that money, and you also earned that equity pay down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess that would make sense.
Okay. So Jerry, what would you like to do?
Well, I guess we'll go in at a price that we trust you that we're not going to be overpaying. So what would you suggest?
Well, Jerry, these comparables give us a rough idea. Again, we're not really able to exactly predict where it would be. We'd say that this is a good guideline of where to start. Jerry, essentially what I'd tell you is if I came to you tomorrow and I said that the property sold for $100 more, would you be okay walking away with that price?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No,
That's-
I wouldn't be. Okay. Good. So that's a good handle, man. And if you do, you can always go back to, in that situation too, is always go back to the market, right? So if you have the market stats and whatnot, you can actually, I've opened it up like in a house on my iPad, and I open it up, and guys, I understand that you don't want to pay over list price and you don't want to get into a multiple offer situation. Unfortunately, in the market that we're in today, that is the common aspect of the market. And it's actually showing me right here in our area that we're in right now, last month, that actually sold for about 15% more than asking. So 115% of asking price. That is your average list to sale ratio. That means on average, half of the homes sold above 15% over asking, and half of them sold below 15% over asking. And if we were to look at these averages here, the better conditioned homes will be selling over 15%. So if we actually equate that into our numbers right now, we would likely have to be coming in around X to make this a completable offer.
I love that you said that, because with even our buyer consult, we actually have a standards that we look for clients, because they have standards of us, and we put in there, you have to adjust your expectations by about 15 to 17%.
Yep.
You have to have a pre-approval letter. So by making those setting that expectation at the buyer consult, you'll be less likely to get that resistance at the end.
Absolutely. And once you see that, and that resistance may come back too. And the good thing by you saying that is circle back to those expectations after the fact too, because you are the professional. So if you can't set that expectation, but if you're noticing it, if you already have set it and it's getting out of hand again in that expectation, have that meeting again. Hey guys, just want to recap on what's happening in the market over the last 2 weeks. I know we've put a couple offers in and we actually haven't been successful yet, but my job here is I want to regroup to make sure that I can do the best possible job for you, right? Okay, so we're just going to dive back into what the market is doing and so I can advise you in the best light possible. Because at the end of the day, we are advisors. We can't force them to put any number down. We just have to show them what is affecting what's going on and the best advice that they could possibly do to win it.
Right, I love that. Yeah, and the one last thing I would just mention is, let's say they were a first-time home buyer or something, right? Their pain was paying rent. What's more important, that we make an offer at market price, we continue to pay rent, or we do our best, put our best foot forward, make a competitive offer, and see if we can secure this price and stop paying rent.
Yeah.
For whatever their pain is.
Yeah, and that's even a conversation for another day. Thank you, Sharon. Does anyone else have any other questions before we get going? If not any other questions, feel free to, yeah, there you go. Jody, you put it up there. If anyone does want a free business consultation, feel free to go to the website here, callwithjerry.ca, and you can schedule a half an hour free business consultation at any point there. Also too, if you want Sam and I to jump on a Zoom call with you guys and even run through some objections or some problems that you're handling, feel free to just shoot us an email as well. You can put the notes on the scheduling there as well through Calendly, and we can get Sam on there as well. So if no one has any other questions, I want to say thank you for Sam to jumping on here and really showing the value, man. You definitely you're a pro with the scripting, man. You can handle objections, and I love scripting with you. So if there's anything else,
thanks very much, guys, for having me. Really appreciate it, and trust everybody got value today.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, guys. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.